For 10,000 years, the galaxy's empires had risen and fallen like tides. The Shy Imperium held 1,000 systems with claws of steel. The Vela Alliance wielded fleets powered by suns themselves. And the Nereith Dominion counted their armies in billions. Their wars were endless, cycles of conquest and revenge, borders painted with blood. And through it all, humanity had been silent. Earth was a backwater world, known more for scattered trade vessels and reckless explorers than for armies or fleets. When humans first stepped onto the galactic stage, the empires barely noticed. They were allowed observer seats in councils, pitied as latecomers still learning how to crawl among stars. But the humans watched, they listened, and they remembered that war that triggered everything began with the burning of Jirith, a neutral hub world. The Dominion accused the Imperium blamed the Alliance, and soon the galaxy was aflame again. Fleets clashed in dozens of sectors, empires deploying their greatest weapons. The war was expected to last centuries, as all such wars did. Until humanity entered. The Coalition of Earth announced its decision with no ceremony, no grand declarations. A single human ambassador stood before the Galactic Senate and said simply, "We are not spectators anymore." The other species chuckled. Some muttered warnings. One Vela senator sneered, "You are ants stepping onto a battlefield of titans. You will be crushed before you are noticed." But humanity had already prepared. When their fleet emerged from slipspace that afternoon, every sensor in the galaxy lit up. 1,000 ships, sleek and black, unlike any design seen before. They were smaller than the dreadnoughts of the Imperium, thinner than the sun-fueled behemoths of the Alliance, but they moved with terrifying precision. The empires laughed again. 1,000 ships against millions. Madness, and then the humans fired. The first salvo didn't strike ships, it struck the very equations of war. Space bent where their weapons cut, unraveling shields that had held firm for millennia. Dominion cruisers imploded, their reactors silenced as if someone had pressed a switch. Imperium Titans broke apart, without even being touched, their systems corrupted by invisible assaults. The empires panicked. They regrouped, counterattacked with everything they had. But the human fleet didn't fight like anyone else. They didn't form walls or wedges. They flowed. Their ships moved as if guided by a single mind, slipping past enemy formations, striking at command vessels, fuel depots, communication relays. Every strike was fatal. Every maneuver perfect. Within 2 hours, half the Dominion fleet was gone. The Imperium's flagship, an indestructible fortress the size of a moon, vanished in a blossom of silent white fire, erased by weapons no one understood. By the 4th hour, the Vela's sun-forged dreadnoughts were fleeing, their solar cores destabilized by human interference. By sunset, the war was over. The battlefield that had been filled with millions of ships now drifted silent, wreckage glittering like ash against the stars. And at the center of it all, the human fleet stood untouched. Not a single ship lost, not even a single casualty reported. The galaxy shuddered. That evening, in hidden chambers and broken palaces, emperors and warlords whispered the same words: "What have we unleashed?" Because it wasn't just the speed of victory, it was what the humans had revealed. Their technology was not improvised or accidental. It had been waiting, hidden, developed in silence while the galaxy ignored them. Weapons that struck not just matter but information, energy, probability itself. Shields that rewrote physics. Engines that bent causality. For millennia, the galaxy had assumed that if humanity ever rose, they would rise slowly, climbing the same ladder as every other species. Instead, they had skipped steps, leaping into a place no one could follow. On that day, the balance of the galaxy ended. The empires that had ruled for ages realized their reign was over. They could not fight the humans. They could not even understand them. Ambassador Lyra Solon, the same woman who had spoken before the Senate, broadcast one final message across every channel, carried on the wreckage of fleets and the whispers of terrified survivors. "We asked for peace. We asked for a place among you. You chose war. Now you will remember us not as latecomers, not as ants, not as children. You will remember us as the day your empires fell, before sunset." And the galaxy did remember. From that day forward, histories would mark time not by reigns or dynasties, but by a single turning point, the day humanity joined the stars.